So, first look of the day, running through some Dimir Murktide Shadow, which I know I've posted like a ton of YouTube videos on it, but it really is the variation of Shadow that's been giving me the most consistent results recently. So I've been kind of like gearing up with it more and more. Um, I think if I were to play in any of the challenges, which side note, shout out to Rebellion. If you haven't seen this, I don't know if it's posted yet. Yeah. Rebellion top forward this past Sunday's modern challenge with Dimir Shadow, uh, using one of our kind of old lists. Um, and the only reason I say using kind of one of our old lists is because they messaged me and said that they used one of our lists. So big shout out to them. Good to see Dimir Shadow putting up like some actual tangible results. So really cool there. But if you haven't seen the deck before, it's basically blue black control with like a Shadow Murktide, in this case, Shadow of Mortality finish. Because we were trying out the Shadow of Mortalities, I decided to swap the Fiery Islet for one more shock land with the Hallowed Fountain. Hallowed Fountain specifically because of Path of Peril in the sideboard. If you're not running Path, it could be any blue shock, Steam Vents, um, yeah, Steam Vents, Breeding Pool, doesn't really matter. Helps out with EE slightly, but Hallowed Fountain specifically because of Path of Peril. Um, but give us that one extra shock to help get our life total low enough for Shadow of Mortality. Other than that, main deck sideboard pretty consistent. Not really too much to say there. It was basically a blue white build with Hope's Beacon into Fairy spot and Fable in Emperor spot, if that makes sense. Same ratio of spot removal counters border wipes. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, as long as you think that you're not losing out on like your ability to close out games by losing access to Big Teferi or uh, Wandering Emperor. Because Big Teferi is a really, really good way of saying, like, hey, we're at an even board state. I drop this down. Drop this down. You don't have an answer right now. I win. Pedro, what's up? I guess I should probably update like Stream Decker and stuff too. Export, save. Yep. Stream Decker. I'd love to play first. Gargamel. Last time I played a bunch against them, they were heavy, heavy on like 4-color, 5-color Omnath pile decks. Pretty reasonable hand. Couple pieces of hand disruption. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So turn 3 Shadow of Mortality if nothing else changes. So it is elementals. So am I just taking Harbinger and Fable, or is there any benefit to leaving one or the other? Probably not. Theory is Hope's Beacon and Light Up the Night is Splinter Twin. Hope's Beacon is an insane card advantage engine. I gotta read Light Up the Night. X damage to any target deals X plus 1 damage instead if that target is a creature or planeswalker. So just make a whole bunch of extra mana. I got you. I got you. Yeah, I don't have triple black, so I need to fire off this Thoughtseize now. Fury is fine. Just 20s people. Fair. Some of these. I guess they still have the Fury. Stubbs a really nice pickup here. So we can fight over like a Teferi or something like that. I would like to find a counter spell. They have Cavern of Souls, so like if they get up to 5 mana, they can't just like hard cast a Solitude. But a counter spell would stop like an Evoke Solitude. That would be nice. Consider's not bad. So let's go ahead and attack. All right. Think about this. Consider. Do I want to look for like a counter spell? Do I want to look for a threat? I think I do. I think I'd rather be proactive here. I'll do it off here in case I hit another Shadow of Mortality. Okay. Double Fury. Okay. Cycle Triome. Fury, Windswept Teeth. Unknown. Unknown. Should know one more, right? 2 Windswept Teeth. So Fury, 2 Windswept Teeth, Unknown, Unknown. Two Fury, Windswept, or 1 Fury, 2 Windswept Teeth, Unknown, Unknown. I don't care about this Ren and 6, but I feel like I might as well just like use my mana here. So I'm not using it against a Fury. Oh, Drowning Lock is such a good draw. Now I can kill a Fury if they hard cast it. Okay. Just don't draw a solitude. Looks like a fury to me. All right. Uncounterable fury comes down. I'm going to not do anything until they're in step in case they had like a second fury red card. Now they would have to have solitude white card, and they do not. So sweet. Game one. Game two. Elementals. I know I want Turok. Dress down. Spreading seas is surprisingly useful. Children's Edict's okay. Put it on my maybe list. Fatal Push is pretty bad. Murktide, I really don't want to see multiples. Drown in the Lock's bad if they've got endurance. Stubb's pretty bad. Might want like drown over counterspell. Stub. Children's Edict being able to snipe a planeswalker is somewhat relevant. Double Shadow, double Dismember. I'm not particularly fond of this hand. Like if they don't play out an early threat, Dismember's dead. If they just have like a planeswalker, Dismember's dead. Hmm. Keep and throw back the shadow. I don't love this hand either, but I really don't want to mull down to 5. Okay. No Ren is nice. Where's this? Okay. Not sure if you needed to fetch on my upkeep, but sure. Then I think if they don't do anything, I'm probably just going to cycle this dress down. Fable. Fable, I do not want you to have land, technically. Hmm. Chalice on 1. it's funny because like I don't care that much about a chalice on one, but I just know that if I let it resolve, I'm going to immediately find like three straight shadows or like shadow thought seize or something. Ah, nose itching. All right, let's fire off a dress down. Get a redraw. Try to hit these land drops. Okay, Murktide's good. I can play out Murktide right now, but I can't protect it, and it would only be a 3/3 because of the dress down, so that seems less than appealing. Endurance. Hmm. All right. We're going to put like a Omnath on the stack. All right, so Omnath hits the board. Let us fetch shock, dismember, get our life total low enough for Shadow of Mortality. Why did I make it my life's mission to spike Merc's price? Did I make it my life's mission to do that? Because I don't feel like that's the case. Ooh, stubbing them leyline bindings. All right, be nice. Played out Shadow before Murktide, so if my opponent does end up like solituding this, then I just go back up to 12 life and I get to play a Murktide, so that's kind of fine. Fulminator Mage. Okay. I guess by all technicalities, that is a legal play. Kind of wonder if they're going to blow up this hallowed fountain. Okay. Fury's down. Something good. Considers not bad. Nope. Spreading seas. So I could spreading seas the Cavern of Souls. I could also spreading seas the Rogren Triome and potentially take them off double red. Let's hit the Cavern. Or we can hit all of them. Um, 2. Takes off double red for Fury as well as double white for Solitude. I mean, they can still evoke both. Like they could just add Kahira to their hand and evoke Solitude off of it, so it's not like that big of a deal. Does cut off red for Omnath. Like I'm kind of hoping their plan was just play a Fury next turn, attack with Fury and Fulminator, and then like play another Fury. Kahira, play out Kahira, attack with Fury. Yeah. Okay, well, I do get to at least trade with Fury. Shadow's Descent. So what am I doing? Am I Turok hold up Shieldred's Edict? Or am I casting Shieldred's Edict? So if I cast Shieldred's Edict and they just lose Fulminator, keep up Kahira, I'm dead to Red Source Fury. We'll see what they do. I assume they just sack Fulminator because I don't think it really matters here anymore. Yeah. Then hopefully Turok can stand in the way of Kahira unless they have, again, Red Source Fury. But I'm kind of thinking they might have like Prismatic Ending. So I want to see if Turok can just like dodge a removal spell or two, maybe give me a chance to find a way to protect Shadow. Never mind. All right, we're dead. Thunderkin Awakener. So we're like OG elementals. So maybe don't have to fairy. Push gets better if Thunderkin Awakener's in the mix. Spike played this recently. Sounds about right. I don't want so push hits Kahira, the Harbinger, Flamekin Awakener, Fulminator Mage for what it's worth, Endurance and Omnath with Revolt. That's probably good enough. I really don't want to bring in Hearse, but maybe I should. Maybe Hearse is like better than a third drown. Stops Thunderkin Awakeners, fights over Renin 6. Also, I appreciate our opponent being at 65 cards, showing yet again that if you're just running a bunch of like Omnaths and Renin sixes and stuff, that number of cards you're playing honestly does not matter. Yeah, pretty reasonable. Thought Seas into Shadow, Spreading Seas, Protection. Backup threat. Binding, Fury, Fable. So are we just gonna take Binding and plan on spreading, seizing the Rogren Triome, or am I taking Fury or Fable? Could just take Fable and plan on like spreading, seizing the first land they play. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Fable. It also gives me the weird out of like just drawing lands in Turok. All right, so let's get our spreading seas on. Stops a turn 2 Renin 6. Dang. Oh, you're gonna please main phase like some Triome. Main phase Zagoth Triome, go. Basic planes. Rip. Okay. In a perfect world, I would spreading seas the plains and hit a fetch land and I could get down Shadow. Leyline Binding is going to cost 2 after Stomping Ground. So close. So close. Well, 2 of our cards here are dead. They pick up another Fable, or is this Kahira? All right, Kahira, sure. Dress Down's decent. You're not. Here's a Shadow. Go. It's feeling a little solitudey. Nope. Trying to play Kahira. Fable. Chalice on 1. You got it. We have hit another land. So now we've got Counterspell or Archmage's Charm, depending on what we see. But I really don't want to be the first one to fire something off. not want to leave myself in trouble against an evoked solitude. Land. All right. We got to go for it, right? Woo. Power to the elemental slaying death shadows. On to match number 2. Spreading Seas looking like hot fire there. Cutting our opponent off of white mana in the face of Leyline Binding. So we'll take those. Absolutely take those. All right. What's up for round number 2? Um, Pretty mid opener. Think I'm shipping this in the blind. Yeah, usually like if I don't have any counter spells, I mean stubborn and all technically, but not like actual counter spells. Yeah, I want like ways to interact with Ragavan. Keep this. I think just drop the second counter spell. Well, probably drop the drown. Be smart. All right. Eventually, opponent will decide if they want to keep their hand or not. Like, throwing back the drown is a lot worse if they're on some sort of a creature deck, but it's a lot safer if we find a second land. Like, we've got a 1-drop answered. We just kind of need to hold up man after that. And if they are on something too aggressive, then maybe they just hit us enough to get Shadow online. Consider hopefully helps us find a second land. And if it is something unfair, then I'm pretty okay with dropping Drown as well. Burn. Burn on a 1-lander. Lava Spike you go. Thoughtseize. Alright. Let's they go. See what happens. Want to fetch and shock on my turn because I know I'm going to be fetching and shocking regardless. But this turns off Skewer the Critics if I decide to Fatal Push this Goblin Guide before damage. Really, I just want another land. Burn everywhere. I have played against Burn a reasonable amount recently. This foil theme deck set. What theme deck had Goblin Guide? Oh. So best case would be they attack, reveal a land off the top of our library. Don't really care what land, just a land. Drown in the lock. Okay. How am I approaching this? Am I considering? Am I pushing? Am I taking it? Probably just like take it, untap, play shadow. Okay. Talk myself into it. Don't want that. Nice. Say go. And I'm trying to just set up like a 2-turn kill with a chip attack and then a dress down for lethal. I might be able to get there if opponent like doesn't play another land. Nice. What was the second reveal? Street Wraith. So we're gonna block one of these, take one hit, go to 9. Opponent's gonna be like, wait, what? Why is Shadow alive? That makes no sense. We're gonna be like, gotcha. Suspend Riftbolt. Okay. So then we will fetch up a tapped Watery Grave. Go to our turn. Play out the island. Get our chip attack in. As previously mentioned. Pass the turn. Plan on Fatal pushing. The Goblin Guide. Eventually. Maybe. So I don't want to push until they go to combat. Like, not only for the Goblin Guide trigger, but if they were to play like a Swift Spear, then maybe I want to push that instead. But it would have to be like Swift Spear plus another land and a spell. And eventually we'll get this Rift Bolt. For good Shadow player like you, burn a good. I mean, I wouldn't say that like Burn's ever going to be a good matchup, but when you recognize like what your opponent can or can't do at different stages of the match, that makes a huge difference. And obviously, your opponent getting stuck on one land is pretty nice. Um, But I think a lot of the times for shadow players, it you get into that mindset of like, oh, I got to fetch and shock all the time, and then you play against burn, and you're like, oh, I'm doing all their work for them, and then you get too passive because you're like, oh, I got to save all my life and not do anything. But you saw on like turn what our turn one, their turn two, we fetched and shocked and took four and considered just so we could find our second land and get down like a shadow in an advantageous situation. And it kind of worked out for us. So it's just about knowing like what you should or shouldn't be worried about. Like I know if my opponent resolves this rift bolt, I go to 5 and they play another land, even if they have bolt, I can counterspell a bolt, fatal push a goblin guy. So I'm not like in trouble to that. Worst case scenario would be they play like second land double goblin guide, but then I still have like counterspell a goblin guide, and they either have to not attack at all or attack with one, in which case I just like fatal push the untapped one. And I know if they just put two goblin guides on board and attack, then I can just fatal push one of them, hold up counterspell. Like really starting to wonder if it's my side or if they lost connection. Guess I forgot to pop that out anyway. They say anything in chat? Nope. Well, we'll just hang out here. Oh, oh, stuff is happening. It's happening. Then maybe they point the rift bolt at the shadow. That would be pretty nice of them. Nope. So opponent's going to choose to not attack, in which case I will fatal push the goblin guide. Go to my turn. Play out my handy dandy fetch land. Attack. Play my handy dandy dress down. And present lethal. How's our life going to be when they finally print the blue black canopy land? I will be so ecstatic when that happens. Like, you have no idea how thrilled I will be to get that canopy land. Um, that would be absolutely huge. EE and Path Apparel are like on my maybe list. So I know I want Wraiths out. And then the rest of these just kind of depend on, do I want Thought Seizes out? Do I want to like trim a Murktide? How do I feel about Dress Down? And I actually don't mind Chalice of the Void in the matchup, because once you get past the first couple turns and you're relying on like a lot of this stuff, you can drop a Chalice on one and it really, really shuts down some top decks. Shadow of Mortality, Death Shadow, lands. Yep. Thought Seize off the top. think I am gonna thought seize actually. If they've got like a what's it called? Sanctifier on Vec, I'd want to know about it. So I'm going to 14. They've got like double Rift Bolt next turn. So I think I'm going to take the Bolt. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm at 16. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take the Boris Charm. There you go. Fatal push. So top deck that Wooded Foothills. Going for the double suspend. Little double suspension action. Yep. So let's go Delta, play out our shadows, say go. I spy a bunch of nerds. You are correct about that one. All right. So we can fetch and shock, allow them to throw a second burn spell at our shadow, which is good for us for reasons. Or they throw it at us, sure. Another Rift Bolt, okay. They know about the drown. So I want to be mana efficient. Are they going to go for the upkeep bolt? No. All right, so we're going to have to dodge a draw here. Bolt is fine. We have to dodge 2 draws. Counter that. 1 draw, or if the second is a 2 mana spell and they didn't hit a land. I was really hoping that was an Eidolon. That would have been pretty funny. Oh, why did I not bring in Flusterstorm? Oh my god, am I losing my mind? Completely forgot that was a magic card in my sideboard. Jomo redeemed Hydrate. I'm gonna have to go get some water. Let me grab some after this game. Sure. Push, bunch of counter spells. Find a threat eventually. So go. One drop. Do not have a one drop. All right. So let's start fixing our mana. I do think it's funny sometimes because I'll see burn players take this like super passive role and try to like play the control deck or something. And luckily, that's kind of what Turok plays into if I find one of those, or Murktide's really good against it as well. Can I bait a Boros Charm? Nope. Considers all right. Not firing anything off. Show me something. Not really sure what I want to see. Shadow. I think I'm actually going to bend this. Like, I'm not rushing. I think I'm kind of looking for like a Murktide or a Turok. It's a bunch of fatal pushes. I mean, if they have a very spell heavy hand, like we can lose just because we flooded out on pushes. Sure. All right. Obviously, that shadow looks a lot better if I bin it right before they start actually throwing alt spells. Murktide, Turok. Probably take another shadow or shadow mortality here because they're gonna have to fire off this rift bolt at something. EE. Not really doing much for me right now. Shock in. Okay. Shock in, do nothing. Okay. There's a threat. It's going to be attack, fire something off. Just fire something off. All right. Big draw step. Big draw step. Ah. Second canopy land. Okay. Take a counter spell. Dogfish, what's up? Oh man, so many canopy lands. All right, do I want to go down to 1 with a counter spell? Yes. I hate casting EE on here. All right, I believe we've got a shadow off the top of the deck. Or our opponent just ripped an Eidolon and don't want to play it. Almost. All right, are they hitting lands or are they sandbagging? It's a big gentleman. 3, 4, 5, 6. Murktide. Have to exile my Murktide. All right, let's think. If they have any creature, I'm fine. But if they had a creature, then I'd assume they would have played it already. If I counter this and they've got a burn spell, I'm dead. So yeah, I do think I have to let it go. And then immediately get rewarded by top decking another Murktide. Or another polluted Delta. Okay. Obviously feels awful if they just didn't have anything. Shadow. Okay. I can in fact cast that. You are correct. So I've got to drown and lock this one way or the other. We'll let it clear land off the top. Okay. So Eidolon trigger hits them. We crack the EE. Flusterstorm, the Lightning Helix. All right. Give another Goblin Guide attack. Maybe clear off another land. Nice. Get out of here. I might. No, I didn't have the mana. I was wondering if I should have Otawara that. Just so if I found a threat, I could like play it out next turn. But I think it's better not to. Yeah, I guess Otawara can sit in hand. Maybe it saves me from like deflecting Paul. Okay. 3, 4, 5. Murktide. Go. Swift Spear is fine. Swift Spear plus Path to Exile. Not as kind. All right. The good old turn 17 against Burn. All right, I guess you got it. Turn 18. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we'd kept that shadow sooner, that would have been great, but I made the decision based off the way they were playing, not the way I expected them to play, which was the very next turn, they immediately started firing off burn spells. If I had known that they were going to start throwing them off, then I would have kept the shadow, but that's how it goes. It's the correct decision at the time. That's what I think. Like, based off the information that I had, what they were doing, then I think the shadow is just like a dead card. So I'm fine with the decision. What do we got for round number 3? Something, something, something. Give us an unfair combo deck. Something, something, not burn again. Not that I really mind playing against burn. It's just very repetitive. Eventually, we'll find an opponent. Maybe we'll find an opponent. All right. And we win the die roll. Heck yeah. Sure. Roll with it. Opponent moles to at least 6. If they got Platinum Imperion is like... Is that Platinum Imperion? Platinum Imperion. Yeah. It's Platinum Imperion, but it's like backwards. Were there 2 Platinum Imperion arts? There are 2 Platinum Imperion arts. Oh. So yeah, it's Platinum Imperion. But I was looking at that one like, wait. My guy's got shoulder pads going the wrong way. So if they got Platinum Imperion art, they got to be playing something unfair, right? Blue Moon. That's my guess. Ragavan. Swift Spear. Okay. So is it prowess? Is it prowess? I don't know. Is it? Oh, hilarious. Could stubborn denial the Manamorphose, but the Morphos also just gives 2 cards in the yard to be able to drown in the lock, and that seems more mana efficient. One, two, three. Your. So let's go. Fetch shock. Fetch shock. Drown you. Shock. Shadow. Shadow. Go. Now, if they lead off with an expressive iteration, am I countering it? Probably not. That's like just 2 mana for a prowess trigger. If they attack, we double block. 100%. Because we're scared, terrified. Well, now that I see the iteration, I'm second guessing myself. You know what? I chickened out. I'm a coward. Paper snag me? Nope. All right. Odawara. What do I think about attack for 10? Play a 5/5 Murktide. Alternatively, I could attack for 5, play a 5/5 Murktide, and plan on like Odawara blocker next turn. If they go Bolt, Lava Dart, Flashback Lava Dart, it's a 4. They'd have to have like Bolt, Lava Dart land exactly. But they could just double bolt me, Lava Dart me at that point. All right, we're swinging in for 10. All right. Here's a notable, or here's a Murktide. I got Otawara to clear out a blocker. Hand would have to be red source, bolt, bolt, lava dart, or bolt, bolt, bolt. Underworld breach doesn't do it. If they play any sort of hasty threat, I'm 100% throwing Murktide Region under the bus. Flusterstorm's great. Push, Edict, Path are great. He's great. Hearse is a little bit better against like these blue-red prowess decks because they are usually playing a bunch of Underworld Breach. So it's kind of like maybe again Wraith pretty bad. Usually something like that. I really don't want like multiple Murktide in my opening hand. Like so. Ugh. This is pretty bad. Pretty bad. Ragioli. All right. Hitting second land is nice. So I think I just have to like fetch shock, thought seize, set up, drown on the Ragavan next turn. Ooh. Ooh, guess who immediately regrets throwing back a engineered explosives? This guy. Basic Island not looking too great in their Ragavan, Swift Spear, Soul Scar Mage, Lava Dart, Lightning Bolt deck. All right, Shadow. Murktide. So if I fetch to 11, drown this, I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go to 4, or if they lava dart, I take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Doesn't seem like particularly thrilling options. If they had a land, I'm dead. We'll scoop to red source. Bolt me. I dare you. All right. Why Why are we slow rolling this? On the play, Chalice is a lot better. Let's do something like that. Could bring in Dress Down to try to fight over Prowess triggers, but doesn't really sound like where I want to be. I think where I want to be is not mulliganing to 5. That's my goal. Keepable 7. 2 lands, push, drown, consider, shadow. I gotta have some sort of interaction. Sure. Land. Nice. Okay. We can kind of stabilize a little bit here. Got it. Am I supposed to just counter this? No. All right. Get you out of the way. Then we find. Okay. They fire off a bolt. Potentially. All right. We've got Shadow online. Will not be countering this expressive iteration, so hopefully I can save this counter spell for like an underworld breach. Even though they do have a huge card advantage over me right now. dart. Okay. Go ahead and cast it. All right. Shadow off the top. Not quite. Okay. Stormwing Entity. I did not realize we were back in 2017. Oh, man. All right. A little heavy on the removal. A little light on the dudes that hit our opponent in the face. Second Stormwing Entity. I believe that's going to be the one that kills us. Unless, of course, we top deck a Murktide. Murktide or Dismember. Or a basic island. All right. That kills our out. Ah. Ah. So many lands at the inopportune times. Also, so many fatal pushes post board. Wish you were as cute as Code Diamonds, but you'll do. Nobody is as cute as Kevin. So I understand that. Full sympathize. Can't complain. Like 2 losses just to like hyper aggressive red decks. So kind of how it is. And then we've had a lot of really, really subpar hands. Shock in, Watery Grave, pass. Oh, is it a mirror match? I believe this might be a mirror match. Except they're on a 1-lander. Which blue black had a traverse effect for us. I just wish we had a blue black canopy land. Like that is the only thing I wish for. Yeah. Us having this extra Murktide right here and hitting land drops. Pretty rough. Be interested to see how they approach the mirror. Got to start playing EDH and whine about how black is bad. That how we get them to listen? Just or mold to 5 at least. Not like this. Yeah, Canopy Land. Canopy Land would make a world of difference. Blue black Canopy Land. Like to help out with the flooding issue without messing up your mana. Helps out with like Turok post board. Especially now that trying out Shadow of Mortality, I want the Canopy Land even more. I was about to ask, are they gonna like bin a spell and windmill slam a turn 2 Murktide? Inquisition. You know what? We'll fight over that. Thoughtseize too. Yeah. Just curious, why don't we play the filter land? I haven't yet either in any iterations, but it seems reasonable. Mainly because you just like don't need it. Like you want to be fetching and shocking aggressively anyway for shadow, so filter land like makes your shadows worse. And you typically have double blue black anytime you've got or triple blue black anytime you have 4 lands for Turok anyway. But if you wanted to run it, it's not the worst idea if you just replace like a basic island. I'm certainly not opposed to it. All right, a 1/1 shadow. We'll see what you got. But it's definitely not bad. Like maybe if you came up with a blue black scam version with grief, it would be even better. But for the most part, there's just like not a need for double black outside of the turn 2 Thoughtseize into shadow turns, which it doesn't help that because you don't get the life loss for you don't get the life loss for shadow. or the Turok turns post board. So we got to go for the Archmage's Charm because I feel like they have a stubborn denial. They don't. Okay, never mind. I was like so sure they had a stubborn denial. All right. Well, we've kind of got ourselves a game here. I've had people ask about Gurmag Angler before, and I don't hate the card. It's just if you're going to be delving away your yard, like, why not make it the blue instead and play um, Murktide? Because Murktide is just like so much better at actually closing out games. And that's just like night and day difference. Like you're nuking your yard for a 5/5 that dies to Unholy Heat, gets chump blocked all day. All right, they need Drown in the Locker, Fatal Push. Flash in a Snapcaster. Petty Theft. Okay. Replay you. Play you out. Say go. Wish we could find room for Lock the Way and have thought about cutting Charm anyway. Like, if you want to treat Lochthwain kind of like the Croxa Shadow builds treat Beseiju, in that it's a spell slot, not a land slot, then it's not like the worst thing in the world. Um, but if you're using it in place of one of your lands, it's pretty horrible with like our high blue requirements. Um, I don't hate cutting Charm because like Charm is the worst counter spell in the deck just because of the cost mana cost of it, but it's like the only form of kind of card advantage we have. uh so if you're cutting Charm, like you're relying really heavily, I say relying really heavily, like I'm not down to one Charm anyway. uh but you're really relying on the rest of your cards to like line up correctly. And obviously, when they do, it works out and the deck's great. But when they don't, you run into a lot of issues. I've also had a ton of double Murktide hands today. Pretty rough. Considered going Knight's Whisper in place of Charm and adding Lochthwain. I mean, probably fine. For me, I've always been big on the idea that like the games I lose are the games that I can't play Murktide into Counterspell. So Loch Thwain would have to be like your fifth land more often than not. Oh my god, are we just playing like OG Burn? Naya Burn? Street Wraith on top? Yuck. What do we got? Double Goblin Guide. This looks an awful lot like the first game. Ah! All right, I need one of you to reveal a land. Death Shadow. Okay, before the second trigger, Cycle Wraith. Second trigger says Drown in the Loch. Ah, rough. Maybe something for us to test, especially with Stub and Drown. Yeah, I think everything is reasonable for testing. Like, the deck is definitely not some perfectly laid out 60 cards that can't be touched. Eidolon. All right. We're just going to scoop it up here. Not hidden lands. 4 creatures to start it off. I wonder if them having Stomping Ground means that they're not running Sanctifier on Vec. Like, I don't think that's an assumption I can just make. No dress down this matchup. Well, I keep one in, but I don't want to overload on dress downs. Like, the only thing dress down's good against is turning Sanctifier on Vec into a non-protected creature. But you do have Path of Peril, Shieldred's Edict, EE, counter spells. Fast shadow kills. Fast shadow kills are just like very, very unreliable in this deck. Like, you don't do anything to force your opponent to throw burn spells at you early. So you run the risk of just like doing all the work yourself. Like, it's okay to have the one for the cheese out, but I wouldn't go overboard on them. Blade, thanks so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome, awesome Monday. What website is this? This is the application Magic the Gathering Online, or MTGO. All right, fingers crossed. Better game two hand. Let's see. Is it on Steam or mostly because I've been trying to find it because I see this one in Arena all the time? It is not. It is on the Wizards of the Coast website. Let's see. This hand's pretty good. Back. It is right there. And that's got like all the information on the client and link to download Magic Online if you're wanting to play. All right, what do we got? Putting on no lands. Let's go. The old skip to second main phase in your deck full of hasty one drops. Lava Spike. Close enough. All right, this is 3, 6, 9, 12 if they have another burn spell. We could potentially have a Shadow of Mortality online on our turn. All right, we've been Rift Bolted. What do we got? Swift Spear, sure. Lightning Bolt me. All right, let's think about how this is going to go. So if I take this, I go to 14. Take the hit for 2, go to 12. Fetch shock to 9. Fetch shock to 6. And I could get out a Shadow of Mortality. That sounds pretty bad. How do you get cards? You either have to like play events and win ticks or win a treasure chest to open up cards, or use use a credit card to buy ticks to buy cards and skip over the middleman. It is definitely not free to play, unfortunately. More like an alternative to having a paper collection. Pull Nissa Resurgent out of a chest. Nice little 40 ticks. Nice. So yeah, like Sadistic just said, that 40 ticks could like buy you a pauper deck or something. And then you could use that to go play in events and maybe win up enough to buy a standard deck or a modern deck or whatever the case may be. So it's just about snowballing with Magic Online. Eidolon. I don't know. Fetch land? Not a fetch land. Yeah, or you can just rent, which is what I do. You pay like $30 a month and get access to all the cards you want, and eventually over time you might build up your collection enough to be able to stop the renting. And Ragavan. Hmm. Let's push Ragavan. Goatbot, you think? Kyoma, see, I told you Goatbot was where it was at. Eventually, you'll listen to me. I guess we're just gonna go ahead and play out this here Murktide. The old supply and demand thingy indeed. All right, so what is this? This is this deflecting palm? Check the text on deflecting palm. Next time, a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn. Okay, so probably just like Searing Blaze plus something. I don't know why they have Searing Blaze in post board, but sure. Because Mike can't buy Murktides anymore. Don't go blaming me for this. Boros Charm. Reading Boros Charm, realizing it can't go at my Murktide. Okay. Wonder if I was supposed to shuffle that away. Oh well. I mean, Kioma, I guess the question would be like, would you rather have a Nissa sitting in your collection, not worth anything because it's a digital piece of cardboard, or would you rather just take the like 17 or 18 ticks that people are offering for it? Like, is it doing you any good just sitting around? Guess it's time for Cobrew. I mean, if Burn was like a little more popular, I'd consider Brutality, but I don't want to like knee jerk play Brutality. All right, so that saves me from anything but Boros Charm. Bolt is okay. I can stop 2 spells. You have 3 mana, 3 cards. Three mana, 2 cards. Are we going to counter a deflecting palm? No. We're going to go to game 3. Fair enough. I'd rather wait for Card Hoarder to buy for 40. Hashtag greed. That's fair. Like, as long as you understand the risk, then I say go for it. But a lot of people have that mindset of like, oh, if I sell it at 20, I lost 20 ticks on it. Like, no, you didn't have the 40 to begin with. So You didn't lose 20 on it. Plus, it's still 20 more than you had without it. So, well, we've got creatures covered. All right. Talk myself into it. I love this whole go to second main phase and do something. All right. Second land is nice. Eidolon would be a little unfortunate. Feels like an Eidolon. Guess it wouldn't be like that unfortunate. It'd be a 2 mana shock. Main phase helix me. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. What you got? The double palm. Double palm. Mishra's bauble. Why? Why do you have Mishra's bauble in here? Got a dude. Okay. So their hand is stomping ground, deflecting palm. They refuse to find me lands. This very well might be a fatal push, hold priority, fatal push. Just to get some cards in the yard for Murktide. See what they decide to do. Another bauble, sure. Bauble themselves. So we are gonna push, hold priority, push, get some cards in the yard for this Murktide. Spike farts in modern has changed. Ugh. All right, well, they sell something that they wanted to draw on top. So they kept it there despite the fetch. Boros Charm. Helix. Okay. Counter you. So another hand is Stomping Ground, Deflecting Palm. For anybody out there who is considering building Burn, even if we don't win this game, can you imagine how much worse for us this would have been if they had just played burn spells instead of deflecting palms and Mishra's baubles? But they're not. All right. So at the very least, we can Shieldred's Edict this Eidolon. While they're holding up deflecting palm for my hasty Murktide, I guess. Okay. Yep. Opponent sacks a non-token creature. And let's find a fetch land off the top just for the heck of it. One land. Nice. Nice. Then you draw dead right here. Yeah, so it's just going to come down to one draw step. Sexix, what's up? Stubborn Denial, a deflecting palm. Second deflecting palm. Are they trying to pay for Stubborn Denial? Is that what that is? That's not what that card says. All right, moment of truth. That try any of the new cards? They're not out until like later in the week, so I haven't tried out anything yet. Come on. Fingers crossed. No one mana burns felt. Please tell me you're not about to pass to my turn and then like cast a bolt or something. Woo. Uh 3-2, but we played against Prowess, Burn. We beat the Omnath pile. What was the other match? I forgot what the second match was. But yeah. The only changes I'm really considering is dropping the fourth Murktide because I just feel like I see multiple Murktides way more than I want to. So maybe going back to the Brazen Borrower for the leagues, going to an Opt, something like that. But there's just so many times that like the second Murktide's completely dead and I don't want to see it. But oh yeah, the mirror, that's right. 2 burn, Prowess, Mirror, Omnath. Um, yeah, really considering dropping the fourth Murktide. I was happy when I played 3, and I think with the Shadow of Mortalities, that'll add like a little more consistency, even if I drop a Merc. But just seeing multiples of those feels awful.